Hey guys, this is Ghosted Miner coming at you from the power of YouTube through the internet itself. Okay guys, so in today's video, as you see right here, we're going to be water cooling this gaming PC with a GTX 1080 Ti. Let's see if we can bring up the performance and bring down that temperature. See you in the video, guys. So we're going to go ahead and get started by doing 3D Mark to see the stock temperatures on the GTX 1080 EVGA Gamers Edition. Again, pretty much it is a Founders Edition based blower style card, so you're not going to get any type of improvements from stock cooling. One of the main issues with this card is that it does get pretty hot. Normally when playing any type of AAA game, let's say like Apex or Overwatch, it hits about 90 degrees Celsius and the frame rates start to drop. So that's kind of why we're doing this. Okay guys, so we're going to go to play some Overwatch. Our settings are going to be 1920 by 1080 at 144 Hz, and we're at the epic setting. So one of the things that is going to be bottlenecking this game, or the whole system, is actually the monitor I'm using. It's only capable of 144 Hz. Definitely the 1080 Ti can go really high, especially for this type of game. So the bottleneck for this game today will be pretty much the monitor. So you can already see the temperatures going all the way up to 90 degrees just out of the bat, so which is pretty crazy. Most likely due to the blower fan. There might be some dust in there, and overall this is a pretty hot card. One of the things that is another bottleneck is going to be the temperature itself. The 1080 Ti, I have it set to 120% higher than normal, and the temperature max is at 90 degrees Celsius. So every time we hit 90 degrees Celsius, it's going to definitely bring down the performance of this card. So enough with that, let's go to take a look at the Phoenix case. So we're going to be fitting all this into our mini ITX case. We got our GPU block with the backplate, both are nickel. We got our single slot bracket right there, and our 240mm radiator, all in one with a reservoir and a pump. So let's see if we can get this to fit. As you can see, it's already a tight fit with a GTX 1080 Ti blower style card in there and the Corsair all-in-one radiator. Okay, let's go ahead and get started by opening up the GPU water block. It's just showing you on the back that you can connect multiple things, including a CPU and GPU block, to one radiator. So for this type of setup, definitely use your user manual. A lot of good information in that. Okay, let's go ahead and get started by opening up this box. So you do get a single bracket right here for your single slot, which is nice. You get your thermal pads, which you're going to be probably using about half of them. They do give you some extra. And you get a little baggie of tools, so you get your screws, your Allen wrenches, and your thermal paste for your GPU. Not too bad, thank you EK, very nice. And you get a little water balloon also, so this is to make sure nothing leaks out, and if it does, it stays right there. Everything is pre-filled, so you don't have to do any filling of liquids at all. It's a plug and play method. Let's take a look at the block. So it's acrylic and nickel. I like the see-through design, makes it a little bit more pleasing to the eyes. Nice and shiny. Great craftsmanship goes into making these. Just make sure you do get the right block. There's a lot of GTX 1080s out there. Mine is based off the reference card, so it's a little smaller. As you can see, the acrylic is cut to your card, so make sure you get the right one. If not, it's not going to work, and it's going to be a hassle returning it. Everything's cut for your GPU. Very nice. Look at that design on it. Shiny, very shiny, looking good. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and look at the back plate. So here's the back plate. We're gonna go ahead and start pulling it out of this box. There's a back plate number just in case you have the same reference edition I do, so you get the right size. This one is the nickel. So again, another baggie of tools. You got a couple screws in there with washers. For the back plate, you're not going to need those washers though. And here is your back plate. Comes nicely sealed with the EK water blocks sticker right there, so you can rip that apart. Slide that off. And there's another instruction manual, which I definitely want you to use. It helps out a lot. You got your thermal pads again. This is a working back plate, so you will dissipate a lot of, at least some heat. This is a nickel-based back plate. Very reflective. Very, very reflective, but which is nice. You can see my whole camera setup on the back of this back plate, almost like a mirror. And again, make sure you get the right back plate. As you can see, it is also cut to your back plate. Very reflective, and that's where you'll put your thermal pads, right there on the back. Let's go ahead and put that to the side, and let's take a look at the manual. They have really good manuals for this type of work, so just follow them by design. So let's take a look at the radiator. So this is definitely the biggest box. As you see on the back here, it does show that you can both install a CPU water block and a GPU water block, or single, depends on what you want to do. Normally I prefer 2 fans for overclocking, 1 fan for just normal usage. So we got a 240mm radiator for my GPU, because we're definitely going to be doing some benchmarking. Warning, don't drink the fluids, pretty much that's what it says on the side. We're going to go ahead and open it up, take out the radiator, and first off, kudos, look at that nice packaging, very good. Definitely this one is coming from Europe, so you want to make sure that it's nice and packaged. So over here in the US, people do throw your packages around pretty roughly. And here it is, another water balloon. Again, this is a pretty cool method that EK has so that none of the pre-filled fluids come out during shipping. And again, everything is pre-filled, so it's nice and easy, plug and play. You don't have to be worrying about filling these reservoirs up. As you can see, it's very thick compared to a regular thin, normal all-in-one radiator. And these fans are also very thick. Let's take a look on top. So that's where you have your control module for your fans, for the power, and again, you can fill it up right here on the top. You have a fill port. And again, there's your pump and reservoir combo right on top. Very nice. It's a very small form factor, and that can be a drain plug or a fill plug. It's up to you which way you want to use it. And that's the radiator. So pretty nice, everything comes in one little form factor, the radiator, the pump, and the reservoir. And most importantly, your cables for the pump and reservoir combo. So one's going to be a 2-pin to SATA to power it up, and the other one's going to be able to control the pump speed. So definitely make sure to keep these handy because you will need these in a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and take off the back plate and the GPU shroud. On mine, it's the EVGA GTX 1080 reference pretty much card. They call it the gaming one. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by taking all these screws off the back. There's gonna be some around the sides, and again, you want to also take off your bracket right there on the back. So let's go ahead and speed this up a little bit. This can take some time. So now you just gently want to pull up on the locations where you pulled off those screws, nice and gently. The thermal paste does kind of act like a glue after being on there so long and under all those high temperatures. So that's the way it looks right there. And on the back of the GPU, I'm going to go a little more cautious. I'm using a little prior tool, nice and gentle. You don't want to pry too hard because you might break your PCB on the back, and you definitely don't want to destroy a GTX 1080 Ti, especially after you're just trying to water cool it. So nice and gentle. There was one more screw. The hard thing about the black screws is they're black. So just make sure that all your screws are off. And that came off pretty easy once I pulled it off. And there's some thermal pads on the back of this as well. They go right behind the GPU. This card has seen its better days. As you can tell that it has been under high thermal heat for quite some time. You can see the residue from the thermal paste on the back of it, and it's a little bit dusty. This is a 6-year-old GPU after all. Now we're going to go ahead and continue to take off the shroud in the front. There is a couple screws on the side of the GPU right there. Let's go ahead and take those off. Again, I have it a little sped up because this can be time consuming, especially with an older GPU. This one has seen better days. It could have been used as a mining card. Some of these screws are a little resilient and kind of stuck in place. So this probably wasn't a pretty bad place, maybe a warehouse, maybe someone's garage for months at a time, just blowing hot air out. Some of these screws are pretty stuck. So you can see what this card has been through. Just look at that dust compiled on the fan. This is a blower style card, so these do get a lot more dust into them just by the way they're made, how they blow the hot air through it. But overall, I do believe this was a mining card. This is some really thick dust on here. Pretty nasty stuff. And it's just compiled all over it. Some of those screws were caked on, and as you see right here, there was something weird going on. That's some weird color. Almost looks like some residue of water. Maybe there's moisture on the card. More dust and gunk all over this card. So let's take a nice look at this GTX 1080 without its clothes on. Again, this is one dirty card. Before even putting the GPU water block on, you definitely want to get it cleaned up, especially if it's this 30. So just go ahead and use some isopropyl alcohol and get to work. Go ahead and grab your thermal pads. Let's go ahead and start applying these. Remember, with these thermal pads, they do have a plastic sticker on both sides of them, so please make sure to take those off. If not, you're going to see some high temperatures, and you probably could kill your GTX 1080 Ti. So now you want to grab your little baggie with all your little tools in there that came with your GPU water block. Grab your thermal paste, and on the manual itself, they want you to do a star pattern on the GPU. So I'm going to go ahead and follow that design. And it's a non-conductive thermal paste, so don't worry, if you get it on the PCB, it won't cause any damage at all. So now you want to go ahead and pull off the back layer of the thermal compound right there. It's just a little plastic portion. Make sure to take it off so that heat can properly dissipate. And there's your finished product, ready for the GPU water block to go on. Just take a minute and look at this sexy beast. Nice and cleaned up, not her dirty self anymore. Let's go ahead and wrap this up, guys. Go ahead and start screwing in your GPU water block. Just keep in mind, if you do have the EK water block or another backplate, there's going to be a couple screws you're not going to use. Just follow your instruction guide. So let's go ahead and put the thermal pads on the back of the GPU backplate. Keep in mind this is a backplate that does transfer heat, so you're going to need to put these on. Just follow those instructions to the T, guys. And now we're going to go ahead and screw in the back plate, and that will be your finished product, guys. Looks pretty good, pretty cool, pretty clean, pretty cool. So we just finished putting the water block assembly together. Now we're going to be focusing on the next piece, the radiator. So the cool thing about this from EK Water Blocks is it does have the reservoir and the pump installed on top, so it's a very easy beginner's way to get that water cooling for your GPU and CPU. So I had to do some modifications because I am using a micro ATX case. I had to put some really thin Noctua fans in there just to accompany the overall small form factor build. This will actually help a lot with clearance factor between the GPU and the radiator. So let's go ahead and pop this in, guys, and let's go ahead and check out this performance increase on this awesome water cooling build. Let's take a look, guys. To make your life a lot easier, go ahead and pre-plug in everything to your radiator power control module. So you want to plug in the power to it and the pump control cord before you put it in there, because it will be a lot harder to work with it in the small case. Look at that, guys, what a sight to see. So we got the 240mm radiator inside the small form factor case. Let's go ahead and plug it in and let's see if we do benefit from this all-in-one cooler for the GPU. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and pop in the GPU. This is another tight squeeze. As you can see, this was not really made for a small form factor build. We do have a lot of extra tubing over here, but we'll make it fit. Might not look pretty, but again, we're looking for that performance increase. So aesthetically, I don't care that much. So we finally get to pull off these ugly water balloons. So just push the tab in, pull straight up, and just in case, if you want to be extra cautious, put some paper towels in your computer so you don't get anything wet. So most important is to plug everything in. So your SATA is going to be powering up the pump itself, and you're going to use your PWM 4-pin connector to actually control the fan. So let's go ahead and plug all that in, guys. Okay, guys, well, this is exciting. We're able to fit that whole EK Water Blocks custom loop inside this mini ITX case. Again, this is an open loop, but you can customize it. The cool thing about the Phoenix kit is you can use a CPU or a GPU or both for this. So very easy for beginners to get into. You don't have to fuss with hard tubing or soft tubing or any type of special fittings. You just plug and play and you're good to go. The question is this going to perform better than what came with stock, the reference cooler, or is this actually going to be worse? Stay tuned, guys. Let's see what happens. So now that everything's in the case, we're going to go ahead and run some benchmarks. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Again, you can hear the pump spooling up that water. It's the first time the water's ever been moved throughout this pump, and who knows how long this has been in EK Water Block's warehouse for. This is an older card, and it was on sale. So let's go ahead and take a look at the thermals. So the first time we ran 3D Mark times by the GPU test 1, the GPU did go about 89 degrees averaging. It did hit 90 degrees Celsius at a high, but overall the card was from 80 to 90 degrees Celsius, which is not very good. That will decrease your frame rates and overall health of your GPU. Now we're at a cool 51 degrees. We're at 99% on the GPU, so it's really pushing it. I did put the power limit up just like I did on the reference card to 90 degrees, so you have no thermal limitations. I mean, no power limitations. No thermal limitations for the water cooler, but definitely thermal limitations for that reference cooler. What a difference, guys. Definitely day and night. We're definitely going to have no issues with thermals on this EK Water Block Phoenix GPU kit. Not bad. Pretty good, guys. I'm excited. Okay, so let's play a little bit of Overwatch. So last time we had the same issues as we did in 3D Mark. On the reference card, we're hitting about 90 degrees, and it was bottlenecking our gameplay. So we're going to go ahead and play some Overwatch and see how cool this card stays. Wow, guys, what a big difference, going from averaging 90 degrees Celsius on the reference card to 56 degrees Celsius. It might not make me a better player at Overwatch, but damn, is this smooth. So overall, guys, definitely I would say this is a buy. I like it. The Phoenix kit is great for people that want to get into water cooling, that don't really want to deal with all the customizations that you have to deal with when you do your own custom loop. This was definitely not a pretty sight to see, but performance per dollar, this is probably the way to go, especially if you're a novice and you don't want to deal with all that hard tubing or soft tubing process, especially with all those specialized fittings. This was pretty easy to get into. Overall, the build took me about an hour 30 minutes from start to finish, and before you know it, I was already up playing games, playing Apex with a lot better performance, better frame rate, and overall better quality PC. And stay tuned, guys, because I'm going to be doing some overclocking with the Phoenix kit on this GTX 1080 Ti. Ghost Bit Miner out. I'll see you in the next video.